So unsurprisingly, Daniel Dubois takes out Bogdan Dinu in the second round. As many people predicted, in my video I did probably a month ago, maybe a little bit more, I predicted that Daniel Dubois would take Bogdan Dinu out in 3 rounds or 5 if he was feeling anxious. But despite that, I was still intrigued to watch this fight, not because I anticipated any great exchanges and action and fireworks, but to see and to gauge where Daniel Dubois is in his recovery phase. Of course, he's coming off the loss to Joe Joyce, but also this was his first fight under Shane McGuigan. And the fight went as expected. Daniel Dubois was the aggressor. Bogdan Dinu was in a very defensive posture, but also doing a good job of it. He's able to slip back and, just take the sting off punches, but he displayed the lack of heart that we outlined in the pre-fight video. And Dubois in the second round, 30 seconds into the second round, was able to just kind of catch him in a flurry and open him up and land this right hand. And down Dinu went, not really showing that much heart, hunger for battle, and just kind of waited out the count. And it was over in the second round. But despite the very short fight, it was interesting to see the technical adjustments in Daniel Dubois. He seems to be articulating his body a lot more, keeping him safer because it takes him off the line while generating a bit more power in his shots. That was my main criticism of Daniel Dubois, is he fights like a very rigid amateur. His head was always on the center line, comes in straight lines. Every shot he throws, there's very little articulation in his body, and he'll kind of just rotate on the spot. So even though he might be getting a decent amount of weight and power into his shots, he is just a sitting duck because he's not taking his head off that center line. Shane McGuigan, his new trainer, spoke about training Daniel Dubois in an interview, and he said categorically that he's not going to try and overwhelm him with too much information and try and change him overnight. So that shows me that Shane McGuigan understands that it's going to be a long process, a gradual process of rewriting what Daniel Dubois knows about boxing, rather than completely overwriting everything he knows about boxing in one night or in a very short, intense space of time and hoping something sticks. He understands that it's going to be a process and that there's no time to rush, because not only is Daniel Dubois in his recovery phase, his comeback phase, but he's also very young, so there's time's on their side. So it was interesting to see. There were some slight technical improvements, but granted that Shane McGuigan did say that he's not going to try and change him too massively in a short space of time. I think it's forgivable. But also the psychology of Daniel Dubois. From what I could see from his body language in the lead up to the fight and as the fight was going, he didn't seem particularly intimidated to me. And so I think that what that does is that indicates that Daniel Dubois has kind of fully, or tried to at least, own the fact that he lost that Joyce fight. He's not in denial. He's accepted what's happened, and he's going to try and rebuild off of that. And I think that's a very positive, very mature thing to do. But also at the end of the fight, Daniel Dubois celebrated. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, guys, but I've never seen Daniel Dubois celebrate, not to any great extent anyway. And I know, you don't have to be hysterical after winning, but the fact that you could see some emotion on his face, some genuine emotion. He was smiling, he's embraced by the crowd and he's loving the adulation, had his arms up in the air. I thought that was a really good thing to see. And most people would think, what the hell are you talking about? Why do you care about the way someone celebrates after winning a fight, especially when there's a fight so easy? But I'd respond by saying Daniel Dubois is a notoriously shy person. He's so shy to the point where he comes across as having almost zero personality because he doesn't open himself up. He doesn't give anything away. And I think that Daniel Dubois needs to he needs to relax mentally. He needs to blossom and have a bit of swagger about himself, because it can reflect itself in his physical performance. If he's constantly rigid psychologically and shy and doesn't want to give anything away, that can spill over into his physical performance, and he'll be very tight and very bound and very rigid physically, which he is, you know. So I think him loosening up mentally will help to aid him going forward and develop him as a fighter, because he can just shake loose, he can just have fun in the ring and express himself a bit more. So maybe a bit of a ramble, but personally I think he needs to just develop some swagger and kind of sit back and, like, he doesn't have to become a Muhammad Ali or a modern day Tyson Fury, because to a large degree that kind of charisma and those personality traits and personality makeups, they're natural, they're innate. But I think he just needs to loosen up, you know. That's the only way I can describe it. Be loose mentally, be loose physically, and relaxed, you know. Just go through the motions and have these bursts of intensity at the right time. So yeah, a little bit of a ramble now, but that's essentially my take on this fight. I'm sure this video is longer than the fight itself, like many Daniel Dubois fights, to be honest. So yeah, if you guys like this video, like my takes, give me a thumbs up. Thumbs down if you don't, that's all good. If you want to discuss this fight, just drop me a comment in the comment section. And if you like the content, why not subscribe? But yeah, thank you for listening, guys.